Welcome back to He's House, where we do a little bit of everything all the time, and it usually turns out right. As my wife likes to say, that usually is eventually. But we're making some burgers at the beach, and this is my cousin's beef. I left my beef at home today and brought hers. I normally weigh these out on the scale at home. I make them exactly quarter pounders, but today we're doing slider buns, so we can make 3 pounds of meat last a lot longer. So I am just going to shape all of these to about the same size as the slider. And I'm thinking these are going to be about 2.5 ounces each, based on the size and thickness that I'm making them. So we should get more burgers per pound. And because I'm doing them in a pan instead of my smoker, they're going to shrink. When you do them in the smoker, they stay just about the same size. But here they're going to shrink, so I have to make them a little bit bigger than the slider buns. So now I just have to form up a ton of these. Then we're going to fry them up in a pan and hope we don't stink up this room too much. But I got the door open to the outside of the room, and I got the door open to the beach. So we should be cycling some air through here so it doesn't smell too bad. Of course, that's just going to make the rest of the hotel hungry. So I've been carrying food down to the pool the past few days, and I've had multiple staff ask me if I actually made that in the kitchen here. Apparently, most of these kitchens do not get used for anything besides like Eggos. They were quite amazed. When I'm back home and I weigh them out at a quarter pound each, I have a cookie cutter, a circle one, that's actually the perfect size for all the sliders I use. And so when I make them, I keep some oil on the little plate, and I keep some oil on that cookie cutter, and I make all of my patties the same thickness and the same width. And then they fit on those slider buns perfectly. When I smoked all that meat for the football tailgate, team I coach, we made, I don't remember how many it was. It was over 150 patties I smoked. My smoker was completely full. I actually had to do 2 cycles through the smoker. Thankfully, it only takes about a half hour, 45 minutes. I usually smoke them for about an hour though, just to get some extra smoke flavor into them. But I've never smoked and made that many burgers at one time. My hands were sore by the end of that, and I think I had to put new batteries in my scale. It took so long. But that was a fun time. I would 100% do that again. The funny thing is, I do those smoked burgers so often. When I'm weighing out the meat for quarter pounders, and I don't even know how I'm doing it. If I think about it, I don't think I get it right. But if I'm just going fast like a machine, I pull out a lot of times from that huge pile of meat, and I'll have it within like 1/10 of an ounce. And it goes pretty quick. But I find that if I don't measure and don't have that scale going, you lose burgers. Because if you go too big, you lose like a lot of burgers in that. I mean, when you're doing 50 pounds of meat at a time, if you're off by an ounce each burger, that's a lot of burgers you lose out on. And so if you notice, my cousin's beef, it's got a lot more fat in it. So the guy, I take my beef to a different butcher, and I've been using him for a few years. And like I said in past videos, most of my meat I get cut up in subprimals, so I actually don't get as much ground beef as most people do. And I have him store the fat for me so I can make tallow. So my ground beef that I get, this is probably 80-20. That's probably close to 80-20, maybe even a little bit more fatty. It might be 75-25. But my ground beef is probably 85-15, leaning towards the 90-10. But I like it that way because I put all my ground beef on the smoker. I rarely use my ground beef for anything that's not smoked, except for taco meat, but I do that with beer and some good seasonings, and it takes a while. So I don't need the fat. I can add the fat in if I want to. So let's see, I'm getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So I'm getting 21 burgers out of 3 pounds of beef. So somebody else is going to have to do the math on that one. But it's definitely not quarter pounders. But I'm putting these on sliders. I got to feed a lot of people. So it's better than McDonald's. I'll tell you that right now. Even if it is in a frying pan. Might have to save this one for me. This is the last burger. This is actually probably a quarter pound. All right, so now all I gotta do is fry these burgers up, and then once everybody gets up here from the pool, we're gonna have a good night. Play some cards, have some fun. Later, man. So, got the burgers in the oven. I fried them up. Now they're sitting in there at 275. They're just finished cooking now a little bit. Keep them nice and tender. Won't lose too much of the fat. And I made a key lime pie yesterday, so it's been in the fridge. Number 3, who was having that with his crab, number 4, my bad, who was having that with his crab cakes, asked if I wouldn't share with everybody, because today we have the friends that live down here coming over, and it wouldn't last very long. So now I'm currently whipping up some apple crisp to go with dinner. I leave my peels on the apples. I like my apple crisp kind of hearty. Cut out all the core. Typically, I pile up my apples so they stick about 2 inches or so above the pan, but I wasn't planning on doing this, so I don't have that many apples. So it's probably going to be even with the pan. So it'll be kind of like an apple crisp, but about the height of a pie. It won't stack up in the middle. Although I guess I could just use all the apples. And they could go out shopping tomorrow for some more. I think number 5 would be sad if he went to the fridge and there was no apples in it though. So I'm chunking these apples up fairly large. They're probably 1/2 inch chunks for the most part. As you can see. Got one more. And I actually like doing Granny Smith apples for apple crisp. I have Fuji, Gala, and I don't know what the other kind was. Yeah, I need more apples, but that's all that's gonna happen today. So my pan is about this full, which is below the rim. I usually like to fill it all the way to the rim, and in the middle, up about 1.5 inches or so. Because then, once the apples cook down, you still have a lot of apple. Let's see, I just washed this bowl. All right, so now for my filling, I actually like these. So this is apple cinnamon. The filling typically is 1/3 cup flour. Now, 1/3 cup oats, 1/3 cup brown sugar, and 1/3 cup butter. But each of these packets is 1/3 cup. And for this size pan, I'm probably gonna do 4 packets. And then brown sugar. So that's 4 packets. It's a little more than 1 cup of brown sugar. And we'll see where it goes from here. I really like the crust on an apple crisp. That's actually what I prefer to the apple crisp part, the apple part. So that's 1.5 cups of brown sugar. And then butter. I'm actually going to do, just because it's easier, I'm going to do 2 sticks of butter. So I'm probably going to have to add some more brown sugar and oatmeal to this, because I don't feel like cutting up this butter. So now you just take a fork. This is going to take me about 10 minutes, so I'll come back in a little bit. But just crumble this up. Have a lot less space here. So I'm just gonna crumble this up together until it turns into like some sandy sort of material where you can like pack it together, but it's all just one mix. So I'll see y'all in a few minutes. So what I said at first about adding the flour, that was correct. I thought I was right, but I couldn't remember, so I Googled it really quick. So this is definitely gonna be a lot of crisp topping, which is awesome. So I'm just guessing right now, but that's probably a cup-ish, which equals the amount of butter I put in. So now I'm gonna go back to mixing this all together. All right, so this is the consistency you're looking for. It's basically, you can squeeze it together with your fingers. Now, I don't have enough space here, otherwise I'd show you what I was doing. Actually, I guess you don't need to see me. Wrong way. Oh, there you go, that's the important stuff. So now I'm just gonna take this, spread it all over the top. You want to get it all the way out to the edges. You want to cover everything. Man, this was a lot of crumble. I should have made more. I might actually make some more before I put this in the oven. Like I said, this is my favorite part. So that's all you do right there. Spread it out. It's going to go in the oven 350 degrees for however long it takes. Probably like 25, 30 minutes, depends on your oven. And we'll see what it looks like at the end, but before I put it in the oven, I'm gonna add a little bit more crumble to this. All right, apple crisp is done. Got a bunch of people sitting in the other room right there, so I gotta hang up real quick. We went and walked, got some ice cream. So that's pretty easy to make. I made that on vacation. You guys can make it at home if you want. All right, we got like a bunch of people in there. Everybody say hi, He's House.
Hi, He's House.
We got the burgers on. We're getting ready to heat them up, and then we're going to have a fun night. So I'll see y'all later. Thanks for stopping by He's House, where the food is always fresh and the back deck is always open.